Look, there's nothing as brutal or as heartbreaking as watching your team, your vision, your dream, hit a ceiling no one saw coming. You pour everything into building momentum, scaling up, and suddenly, you stall. 2 times growth, maybe 3, and then collapse. It's like running a marathon only to face a wall you can't climb. But then, somewhere out there are teams, rare ones, that explode. Not just a bit, but 100 times over. They don't just grow, they transform. They tear through what everyone thought was possible. And what's maddening, what keeps you up at night, is understanding exactly why that happens to some teams, and not to yours. The silent question, the one you barely admit, gnaws at you. What separates the 100x from the 2x and the collapse? What do those heroes know that the others don't? Why do some teams spark fire, while others smolder out under the weight of their own limitations? First, let's strip away the polite corporate nonsense because this isn't about buzzwords or trendy tactics. This is raw truth. The reason most teams collapse at 2x is because they are shackled by the invisible chains of comfort, compliance, and fake freedom. They settle for safety. They follow rule books written by the past. They desperately crave consensus and approval instead of unleashing the frenzy of ideas that come when you let go of fear. If you recognize this in your own team right now, good. Because that pain, that frustration, is the first real step toward breaking free. Most teams stop questioning at the surface. They experiment with new marketing funnels, add headcount, or chase KPIs, while their foundation quietly crumbles. Their culture is stagnant, their minds boxed in, their relationships transactional and safe. But extraordinary growth? It doesn't come from surface tweaks. It comes from breaking the system inside your team. The structure of thought, belief, and connection holding you back without you even noticing. Those 100x teams are not just rare because they're working harder or smarter. They're rare because they've ripped apart every rule that says, this is how teams grow. They reject every comforting lie about working within the system. They don't ask, how can we fit in? They demand, how can we create a new way? They embrace brutal honesty, relentless accountability, and chaotic collaboration. They tear down titles and roles and create a living organism of people fueled by a shared fire, not by job descriptions or safety nets. Everyone on these teams feels seen, heard, yet challenged to be more than they ever thought possible. This isn't some vague leadership hype. It's the difference between surviving by following best practices and thriving by rewriting the rules entirely. Anyone who's built or been part of a team knows what that looks like. You feel the difference crystal clear when you walk into a room or a virtual space where everyone is tuned to a single frequency of obsession and respect for radical authenticity, where people are both savage and kind, cutting through bullshit and ego, refusing to settle for anything less than the extraordinary, while supporting each other like fighters in the ring. This synergy, this violent harmony, is the heartbeat of 100x growth. Without it, you're just a group, trying to climb a mountain with a rope full of holes. Now don't let that scare or confuse you. The brutal, liberating truth is this. Your team either chooses to become this or it doesn't. There is no middle ground. No magic pill. No strategic framework handed down from textbooks. It's about raw commitment to unlearning everything comfortable and familiar, and brutally peeling back the layers until you find the core of what your team is capable of when freed. When you do this, something astonishing happens. The ceiling disappears. The measurable becomes immeasurable. The impossible becomes routine. Here's the core secret nobody wants to say out loud. Most teams collapse not because they lack talent, resources, or even ideas. They collapse because they lack alignment on who they are beneath the noise. Talent is wasted when it's not fiercely connected to a shared purpose so deep it burns away distraction. Money is spent foolishly when it buys scale without cohesion. Ideas die before birth when no one dares to speak the truth to each other. The tragic epidemic is that leaders convince themselves their team is doing fine because the project is moving. But movement is not growth. Movement without depth is a treadmill. Real growth demands a sacred kind of alignment between heart, mind, risk, and trust. So how do those 100x teams do it? Step 1. They are merciless in questioning everything. No sacred cows, no myths. Every process, every meeting, every interaction is challenged. Does this fuel velocity and connection? If not, it's cut ruthlessly. No excuses. They refuse to be prisoners of tradition. Step 2. They embrace the uncomfortable truth of their dysfunctions, not hiding conflicts, but forging them into sparks for genuine breakthroughs. If your team is too polite, too afraid to disagree, too scared of vulnerability, you are already dying in slow motion. Step 3. They cultivate what seems impossible in mainstream business thinking, a culture of radical individuality and fierce interdependence. Each person must become sovereign in their drive and creation, but also wild about pulling the team forward. This balance of fierce independence fueled by deep collaboration is the crucible of exponential scaling. But let's be crystal clear, this takes guts. It means ripping off every mask, calling out weaknesses, embracing discomfort, and refusing shortcuts. Every moment demands ruthless honesty and radical patience, because the greatest mistake teams make is chasing quick wins, ignoring long-term craft. Real 100x growth is a game of endurance as much as it is of fire. The impatience that haunts most teams is the enemy of breakthrough. They stay stuck adapting to incremental change while the world's edges move on without them. The final soul-crushing truth that will burn in your mind is this: you cannot outsource this transformation. No advisor, no consultant, no growth hack will do it for you. This rebirth comes only from within, a rebel core of people willing to defy the comfort and conformity that surround them. The ones who say, "I don't care what the rules say, I will build something no one else can." These individuals ignite firebrands within the team, turning connection into collective power. It takes brutal selection. Cut the weak links who cling to comfort. Embrace the few who burn wild with you. Align with the rare, not the many. Because it's not scale that kills teams, it's dilution. The more you chase generality, the less growable you become. The 100x teams get smaller, sharper, hotter, even as they grow. They build infrastructure for the exceptional, the misunderstood, and the dangerous ideas that must break through to remake the world. This is the call to arms for founders, investors, leaders who refuse mediocrity, who hate waiting, who want to rewrite reality. Build not just a team, but a living organism of rebels who breathe fire and ice, who dismantle the old to create the new. You don't need permission. You don't need to imitate anyone. You only need to start with the brutal work inside. Clear the noise, find the misalignments, amplify the rare spark in your people, and relentlessly forge a culture where the impossible becomes inevitable. Because the world's systems want you to settle, to scale quietly, grow safely, conform, and collapse. But you, and the few you lead, are here to shatter that illusion, to burn the map and redraw the terrain, to be the team that 100x's while everyone else collapses at 2x. No excuses, no compromise. Only fire, only growth, only the raw power of what's possible when the shackles fall and the rare few unite. This path is brutal. It is relentless. It is worth every burning second. Because at the end, you don't just build a team. You unleash a movement, and the world will never be the same again.